In this video, I will show you different ways to connect Microsoft Fabric Notebook to SQL Server, Fabric Warehouse, and any other JDBC compatible sources. All the nodes and the sample codes used in the video is available in my GitHub repo. Also, I have created a decision tree that basically help you to basically choose the right approach. Coming to Fabric, it gives us some of the out of box options, and also we have JDBC option. So we'll first start with the JDBC option. We can use the Python package called JDEAPI. So it basically support both read and write operation. It is compatible to any sources. I have tested this with a SQL Server, Fabric Warehouse. The only downside here is you need to install it for every Spark session. Basically, your notebook will have a pip install step as the first cell. We will cover the option 5. This is the approach used in our project. We will discuss at the end of the video. Now let's look into the Fabric built-in options. Fabric nodes support Fabric Python notebooks. So there are two flavors of Fabric notebook. One is PySpark, where another is a Python notebook. In Python notebook, a cluster is not spawned. It's basically it runs on a single node machine. Okay, so now coming to Fabric Python notebook supported T-SQL %T-SQL magic command. Using this you can run SQL query and you can bind the result to any data frame. So these are the parameters that is supported by the magic command, and the type parameter is basically the indicator decide the type of the artifact that we are using. Is it a warehouse or is it a lake house or newly introduced Azure SQL database in Fabric. The artifact means the target resource name. If the resource is in another workspace, there is another optional workspace parameter where you can mention the workspace name too. As per the documentation, it supports both DML and DDL on the Fabric warehouse and only read-only queries on the SQL endpoint. The option 3 is using Spark data warehouse connector. This is the recommended approach option for connecting to Fabric warehouse. Authentication here is simple because user need not have to provide credentials manually. It uses Microsoft Entra authentication, which means Fabric uses the signed in user's identity to handle both authentication and the authorization. For reading and writing, we need to mention the 3-level namespace notation. 3-level namespace notation. Coming to writing the data, Fabric uses a two-phase writing process. The first data is staged, then Fabric runs the copy into data that loads into the warehouse table. Now coming to the fourth option, using Fabric connections. Now you can import Fabric connections to notebook, and this is a preview feature. Let us see how we can create. This is the SQL Server instance which I am planning to connect. I need to get the connection details to create the Fabric connection. Now in the new connection, mention the server database name. Here I am using basic authentication. Get the user name from the connection string, type in the password. There is a specific checkbox to enable the connection to be used in notebooks called allow code first artifacts. So this checkbox can only be set during the creation and cannot be modified later. Now click on create. Now open the Fabric notebook, add previously created connection. Now right click on the connection, select the option add as code cell. This will generate the boilerplate code to connect to the SQL server. In this approach, instead of storing the username, password, or connection string in notebook, the Fabric manages them for you. This option is this option is only applicable for cloud-based source but does not currently support on any on-premise data sources. Final option which we have used in our project is using Spark's underlying JVM. We access it using Spark dot underscore JVM. This let Python call Java JDBC API directly. This approach is used for updating ETL metadata tables, and earlier version of our framework had its metadata as well as auditing information in Fabric warehouse. So we use this approach to interact with the Fabric warehouse. In our project, we are using basic authentication for connecting to SQL Server, where we have a username and a password. But when in the earlier version of the framework, we where our metadata was in Fabric warehouse, we use a token based authentication. The sample code for token based authentication is available as a GitHub gist. That also will have examples on executing query using this approach. One important thing to note here is everything that you execute through this approach runs on the Spark driver. So this is an approach best for a lightweight operations like updating a metadata table, updating the status of your ETL job. This is not an ideal approach for any large scale data movement.